So what can I do for you, my friend Joe? You are a non-Muslim or not? I'm not sure. You can tell me about yourself.
I do not profess to be a Muslim. I've been trying to learn about Islam, and I have Islam to thank for helping me see some of what was not right with Christianity. So I was raised a Christian, and then I've left Christianity, and for the last couple of years, I've been looking for the truth. And so I have this kind of specific question. I was hoping that you could give me understanding uh, about Islam. I was been speaking with some people online, and they specifically told me to come to you and ask you these questions. So
Of course.
I'm hoping for good things. Yes. So
I'm my best. Thanks.
my question basically pertains to the Shahada. So it seems that there are essentially kind of two statements that have to be professed, and one of them is that there is one God and that He alone is worthy of worship. And and I profess that. And so when I speak to Christians online, they accuse me of being a Muslim, and the second part of the Shahada, where it says that Muhammad is his messenger or is his prophet, is the part that I don't understand. And essentially, my question is, if this prophet lived thousands of years ago, and all that we have to know him by is say writings or stories about him, how can I know that he is the prophet without just believing it, with just taking it on faith? I want to know
Sure.
how you know. Can you explain that, or can you make the case for,
Of course.
can I know this without faith? Can I know that he is the prophet, and if so, how?
Of course. Yeah, the first thing I want to say, which is it's an interesting fact that many people do not know. But when you say the shahada, the shahadatain, etc., when you say testimony of faith, there is also a variation of the shahada where you testify that Jesus is a servant and a messenger of God. A lot of people don't know that. But why is that the case? A lot of the scholars say that this is done with people who are like Christians, for example, who used to believe Jesus was God. So you testify also that now you believe that Jesus is a messenger and servant of God. He isn't God. He's an equal with God anymore. He's a messenger and servant of God. And that is you testifying to your beliefs. We as Muslims have 6 articles of faith. One of them is to believe in all of the messengers. So just as we believe that Prophet Muhammad is his messenger and servant, we need to believe in every messenger of God. If I was at the time of Moses, I would testify the same thing, because he is the person who's coming to tell me about God. So when you say, for example, I believe in that Allah is the only one, or God is the only one worthy of worship, and you agree that the definition of that God is the one that you have in the Quran, is that the case? One God worthy of worship, does not have any partners, unlike his creation. That is what you believe, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. So the one who, if you say, I believe in the message that the messenger have given to me, in essence, you also believe in the messenger, because you believe in the message that he's brought to you, which is the definition of God, which is what you need to do, what you need to do for worship. But you're asking me the question, how can you make this objective case for that claim that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the messenger of God? There's many ways to do that. Many ways to do that. One very simple way, which I'm not going to go into too much, is to investigate his claim. He claimed to be a messenger of God. Now, can you provide any alternative other than the fact that he was truly a messenger of God? Why else would he have done and lived the life that he lived, or did what he did, if he wasn't a messenger of God? Prophet Muhammad was born with a group of people who were idol worshippers. He was from one of the most noble tribes, if not the most noble tribes of the Arabs at the time. They were the custodians of the Kaaba. He was from a very pure lineage. He was already married to Khadija, one of the richest women. He was running her business. He had money more than he needed. He doesn't need any money. He doesn't need any status. He already was respected in his community, to the extent that they called him the trustworthy, the honest. Whenever they had disputes, they would go back to him to solve their dispute. One of the disputes they had about the Kaaba and putting the last cornerstone, and they came to him to decide that, which is the most important thing for the Arabs at the time, let's say. But they came to Prophet Muhammad to make that judgment, because they knew him to be the trustworthy, the honest. He lived this life. Then he had the first encounter with Angel Gabriel, where he was had some verses revealed to him from the Quran. He was told that only Allah is the only God worthy of worship. Idols are not God, and people need to worship Allah alone. Then he spent 13 years of persecution. Companions killed, him being killed, almost being killed multiple times, that he had to leave Mecca and to go to Medina because they were plotting to kill him. And they didn't stop at Medina. They came with armies, one after the other, a battle after the other, still trying to kill him. And he fought. And then he lived the poorest, if you want to say, or the most humble life that you could see. When a man came to see Prophet Muhammad, they would look at him. He would be sitting next to his companions. They will ask, where is Muhammad? Peace be upon him. Because he looks like them. He's sitting on the floor. He's not sitting like a king with garb. He's not living this life. The Prophet told the companions, do not overpraise me, like the Christians overpraised Jesus and made him equal to God. A man said to the Prophet, what Allah wills and you will. So the Prophet got angry. And he said, you don't say that. Did you make me an equal with God? You're saying what I will and what God wills in the same sense, as if I'm equal with God. So the Prophet was very clear that he was a servant. He said, say, I'm the servant of God. So he's a servant and a messenger coming from God. He died and his armor was rented to a Jewish person. And he could have gone and asked, he had all of Arabian Peninsula Muslims. He could have gone to anyone and said, give me money. It's very easy. But he is the messenger of God, and he did not use the fact that he is a messenger of God to get wealth. He lived his life the way he could live his life. And whatever he had, there was a narration about them knocking the door of his house, and they only have a date there. And then they gave it to the person asking for food. A date. Imagine in your house, you have no food except one date. The Prophet, ﷺ, this is how he was in his life. Now, there was an incident where a woman stole, and she was from a noble tribe. And that's why the people, they wanted her not to be punished. Because she's from a noble tribe and whatever. They said, let's kind of not punish her. She's from a noble tribe. The Prophet said, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, listen to this. He didn't say, if Fatima, the daughter of the messenger of Allah. He's not using his status here. He's completely speaking in abstract. He said, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, stole, I will be the person to punish her. So he's making it clear, you don't do these things. I'm not here to use my status as a messenger of God and to do what I like and not to do what I like. So if he was not looking for riches, if he was not looking for status in his community, and if he lived life of persecution, almost being killed multiple times, he went to Ta'if, they threw rocks at him when he was calling them to God until his feet stuck to his sandals from the blood. He had difficult injuries and almost be killed in many of the battles. Now the question is, why would he do any of that if he was a messenger of God? Give me one rational alternative explanation. You wouldn't find any. Give me one. He called people to worship the same God of Jesus, same God of Moses, same God of Abraham, the same God that the previous messengers consistently came and taught people to worship. So could you tell me anything rational, any possibility, why he was not a messenger of God? Why he would have done what he's done?
I could try, I suppose. What if I think about like somebody like the Buddha, who might have been like an enlightened sort of an individual to some
Sure.
degree, who did things that we wouldn't have expected them to do, acts of humility and service and living a simple life despite being a rich man. And I suppose like maybe this individual, this prophet, could have been something like this, like somebody with some spiritual enlightenment, and so they lived in a way that didn't make sense to the rest of us potentially. I suppose that would be like the best answer that I could give for like, why would somebody live this way that didn't make sense to us, this humble
you agree
way?
you agree that's not reasonable. Why? Because if you look at the Dalai Lama or Buddha or whatever, any of these people, they didn't claim that. They didn't claim to be messengers of God. They didn't claim they're bringing you God's revelation and guidance. And if you claim someone lived such life, you would be saying he's lying. Essentially, that's the only option. He's lying about God because he's claiming God has sent him something and is communicating to him this text, which is the word of God. And if he did, then you have to present reasons for why he would lie. They came and offered him all the riches and fame that he could have ever wanted. He said, if you want to be a leader over us, we'll make you a leader. If you want money, we'll give you our money. If you want women, we'll give you our own women. Just stop this mission that you're doing. And the Prophet said to them, it's not up to me. I'm sent by God. I'm a messenger of God. There was an eclipse that happened. The son of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ died. Ibrahim, his son, died. And then an eclipse happened. The people said, look, the eclipse happened because his son died. It's a sign that he's a messenger of God. What would the liar say? Yeah, of course. What do you guys think? This eclipse is just because my son died. Prophet said to them, no. That is a sign of God. It doesn't happen for the life of death or anyone. If you see, rush to praising God and prayer. So nobody can make that case, because if anyone makes the case, they would have to accuse him of lying, because he didn't claim to be a social reformer. And he could have been the best social reformer by accepting their claim. They said, you'll be a leader over us if you want, but just stop calling people to stop worshiping idols. So he'll say, okay, I'll stop. And then he could reform the society all he wants. He would be the leader. So if he was a social reformer, that is what he would do. So that makes no sense. And let me tell you, on top of that, the Prophet ﷺ also conducted many miracles that people have seen with their own eyes. Acts of miraculous acts which normal human beings cannot do. And that is why those people died for him. And that is why when the Prophet died, he had over 100,000 companions. That after he died, they went to Persia and Rome and opened the doors of Persia and Rome and defeated Persia and Rome. Because they saw how this is a true messenger of God. They saw it with their own eyes. They saw the miracles and the signs that the Prophet ﷺ did as well. So that is another thing that you add, is that he's not just coming to socially reform this and that. No, he's presented also evidences to the people why he's a messenger of God. So that is one example why there is no doubt that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a messenger of God. But is that it? That is not even the tip of the iceberg. That is not even the tip of the iceberg of why the Prophet ﷺ is a messenger of God. The Prophet ﷺ made, for example, one of the evidences, the Prophet made multiple prophecies about the future. Now, he made prophecies at his time. He made prophecies hundreds of years, few hundred years after him. He made prophecies about things happening today. And every single thing the Prophet ﷺ said will happen in a time, it happened. Prophets made, for example, the Quran prophesies about one of the uncles of the Prophet called Abu Lahab, which was a disbeliever. And he was trying to kill the Prophet ﷺ all his life. If the Prophet goes and tells someone the sky is green, he'll tell him the sky is blue. Don't listen to him. So the Quran says this man is going to hellfire. He's going to die on disbelief. He's going to go to hellfire. Now, this claim was made 9 years before the death of Abu Lahab. He could have disproved the whole religion by saying, I'm a Muslim, I accept Islam. So now the Quran is saying I'm going to hellfire. The Quran must be false then, because I accepted Islam. How can I go to hellfire when I accepted Islam? But he didn't, because God is the one who said that this person will die on disbelief. So even though he had this chance, even though all his life he was trying to disprove the message of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he died disbelieving, just like the Quran said. But not only him, even his wife. There was a man called Suraq ibn Malik. When the Prophet ﷺ left Mecca, I'm giving you now some prophecies about specific individuals. I'll give you different types of prophecies. There is another prophecy here, for example, about specific type of individual. The Prophet ﷺ said to a man called Suraq ibn Malik, who was a bounty hunter. When the Prophet left Mecca, because they were plotting to kill him, he left Mecca and he was going to Medina. They sent a bounty hunter after him called Suraq ibn Malik. Now, when that bounty hunter came close to the Prophet ﷺ, his horse kept sinking in the sand. So he realized there's something about this person. Then Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told him that this man, you will hold the bracelets of the Persian king. Do you know who the Persian king was? He was the most powerful man on earth at the time. You had the two biggest empires, the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire, Sassanid Empire and the Byzantine Empire. So he's telling him, you, the man who's coming to follow me now and kill me, just a random bounty hunter in the desert of Arabia, will hold the bracelets of the most powerful man on earth at that time, the Persian king. The Prophet ﷺ died. That man, Suraq ibn Malik, became Muslim. He fought with the Muslims, many battles. The first caliphate of Islam took leadership. He passed away. The second caliphate of Islam took leadership. And at the time of the second caliphate, they conquered the Roman Empire. And then that second caliphate gave the bracelets of the Persian king, and he put it in the hands of that man that I'm telling you, called Suraq ibn Malik. The Prophet ﷺ made also other prophecies about individuals, like his companions. He said how two of his companions will die as martyrs, the second and third caliphate, and they died exactly the way the Prophet ﷺ said. The Prophet ﷺ talked about how his daughter will be the first person to die after him, and she was the first person to die after him, 6 months after his death. Now, this is him making prophecies about people. He made prophecies about countries and nations. That is, which countries Islam will enter and spread and be a Muslim country. Prophet talked about Egypt, talked about Iraq, talked about Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, talked about India and Pakistan, talked about Constantinople, which is present-day Turkey. By name, the Prophet said these will become Muslims. The Prophet said he will overcome the Roman and Persian Empire. And he said the last king, Persian king in that region will be the last one once you conquer it. And the Roman king in that region will be the last one. And this is what happened historically. In that region, there was no more Roman kings or rulers. It was the last one in this area, and this area when after Muslims conquered. And these things happened hundreds of years after the Prophet. Prophet predicted how the Mongols will come and their invasion, etc., and how their eyes will be, you know how their eyes were very kind of, he predicted their eyes, look, their foreheads, they will have hair on their boots, what kind of, he predicted, told them. You had Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, and you had many major scholars who were living in that time. They said this was the biggest sign for them. The Prophet said this at their time, like 800 years before or something, and they're looking with their eyes exactly what the Prophet described that will happen is happening. The Prophet made predictions about today, things that we see happening with our own eyes. For example, the Prophet said you will see the barefoot Bedouin Arabs competing in building the tallest buildings near the end of times. Now, do you know where's the tallest building in the world today?
It's the Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa in Dubai, yes. And you have Arabs competing with each other. And the Prophet didn't only say that. He said that the earth would puke its treasures and money would become abundant within you. Now, the only reason they've been able to build these buildings is because of oil, which is the treasure that the earth has puked. There is only of value today due to technology. That is why it's a treasure today. Now, I can go on and on, by the way, yeah? Just for, I don't want to just keep this 15 hours lecture of the evidences of Islam. But the evidence of Islam are so numerous. They're innumerable. The Quran talks about the natural world, how it talks about the universe expanding, embryology in the mother's womb, biological facts like everything living is made of water. This is another evidence. Another evidence, the Quran talking about history that was not ever known in the past. That is not mentioned in the Bible in any other text that we discover today to be the truth after discovering the Rosetta Stone, etc. About the Egyptians, about the people at the time of Abraham. The evidences for Islam are many, 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 many. So there is no doubt when we say to the people that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a messenger of God, that he is a messenger of God.
Amazing. You've answered my question. Could I ask you a follow-up question? All of this information you've shared with me is, if I read the Quran, is it all in this book?
Yes. By the way, there's a lecture I have where I just went through some of these prophecies, some of what I told you, and some of these evidences as well. It's called Compelling Evidences for the Truthfulness of Islam. So you'll see me quoting all of these scriptures, and the references will pop on the screen. It's very easy. You could do that. But I'm planning to hopefully, God willing, make a series on it, basically, on all of the evidences of Islam, going through details. Probably be a few videos, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 videos, probably something like that. So that's what I'm working on in the moment. Anyways, I have that video as a, let's call it a teaser. And I believe, or the information I give you already is more than enough anyways for anyone to accept that there is no doubt that this man had to be a messenger coming from God, because he couldn't have done any of these things on his own. Do you agree?
It's amazing. Yes. Incredible. Thank you.
Okay. So what's stopping you from taking your step? This is the question I'm going to ask you. What is stopping you from taking that step and becoming a Muslim?
It was that question, really. It was kind of feeling like there was this ancient history, and it was written in this book that I can't really understand, and kind of feeling like I'll never know if this is true, or and that's really what's stopping me.
Sure, but now you know. So, are you ready to take your step, inshallah, and accept Islam? Take your shahada, the one that you.
Gosh, it kind of feels like I might be. This was
perfect. You'll have 7,000 people watching you, so it'll be a very unique event. Which usually doesn't happen to everyone, but we are about to do it now, inshallah. All right, so we'll say it first in English, and then we'll say it in Arabic, which is a testimony to what you accept and what you believe today, right now. I'm sure you already know it, anyways, but we'll say it right now. Say, I testify.
I testify.
There's nothing worthy of worship.
There's nothing worthy of worship
except Allah.
Except Allah.
And I testify.
And I testify.
That Prophet Muhammad.
The Prophet Muhammad.
Is his messenger.
Is his messenger.
And servant.
And servant.
Perfect. So this is essentially the shahada. You are now a Muslim. I will say the same thing exactly in Arabic, but very slowly. Say, Ashhadu
Ashhadu
alla
Allah
ilaha
ilaha
illa
illa
Allah.
Allah.
Wa ashhadu
One more time.
wa ashhadu wa ashhadu
Wa ashhadu
anna
anna
Muhammadan
Muhammadan
Rasul
Rasul
Allah.
Allah.
That's it. That's it, my friend. You are officially,
Amazing.
alhamdulillah, officially a Muslim. So this testimony of faith, the shahada, you cannot wait with any amount of gold. You cannot wait with any amount of money. This is the key to entering the doors of paradise. But the most important thing is that we die upon this testimony of faith. That when we're leaving this life, we leave upon that faith and believe that there is nothing worthy of worship except God, and that Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, and that he sent all of those messengers to us, and that the Quran is that message from him that we need to believe and die upon. Now, if we do that, then we enter paradise. This is the key to entering paradise. And if you now start, inshallah, you take everything easy. Continue reading, finishing reading the Quran, learning how to pray. Once you do that and implement it in your life, Allah forgives any of the previous sins that you did. So now you can think about anything bad that you did in the past. You have a very clean, empty slate with God. It does not matter what happened in your past. If you now moving forward, do your best to obey the Creator and do as much as you can, Allah will forgive your past. Now, this is my email, by the way. See it on the screen? I don't know if you want to take a screenshot or something, but this email, just send me your information, like your where you are, your WhatsApp number, and I have your name already. And then I will forward you to our team, basically mentoring team. What is the steps to take from now to learn how to pray, to practice Islam in your life, and to continue reading the Quran. And also, most importantly, following up with you with the questions. I'll also have the email following up with you in case you have any questions or anything that you might have in your mind. It was more than a pleasure, talking to you. Joe, if you have any questions, do you have anything that you want to say? You have any questions? You feel good? How do you feel?
Amazing. I have one question. Do you recommend? So I got the book, and it's in English and Arabic. Do you recommend I read the book from the beginning to the end, just straight through?
Yes. Yes, okay. Read it straight. There is no difference whichever way you read it, but reading it from beginning to end is better if you're from a Christian background, because it talks about story of creating Adam, then it talks about Moses and his. So it's things which you will relate to, and then also the chapters like 4, for example, talk about Jesus' crucifixion, these things, what he taught his people. 4 and 5. So it's very I would always recommend most people to start from beginning and continue reading from there onwards. All right, my brother, I'm more than happy. It's a pleasure, and thank you for waiting. By the way, I know you waited quite a bit until I was able to bring you to the stream, and hopefully we will have more chats, inshallah, in the future. Okay, I will say bye to you now, and salam alaikum, and inshallah, as I said, please do not forget. You can just send me an email now, and I will respond to you right after the stream, inshallah. All right,
I'll email you now.
Brother.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Perfect. All right, my brother. See you. Bye.
Bye.